All right, guys, welcome back. Quick video today on bracing versus organizing proximal position. I saw Kelly Starrett last night post a video about bracing, and it inspired me to kind of catch up today and talk a little bit about this buzzword of bracing. And I think bracing is a thing that was introduced, in around the 90s, at least in the physical therapy world, when we started talking about spinal stability, right? This idea that creating stiffness and stability by bracing in the spine and in the core in our patients with low back pain would help alleviate that type of pain. And again, it's kind of trickled over into the strength and conditioning world, where we talk about heavy lifting and using intra-abdominal pressure and the Valsalva maneuver to brace. We talk about bracing against your belt, things of that nature with our heavy lifting. And it's something that I have subscribed to for many years and practiced it myself, and have also taught it myself. But I do think the word bracing has been misinterpreted in the community for some time now. And I honestly am not sure I like the word bracing to describe what it is that I think we're actually trying to do. When I think of the word bracing, right, actually think about the word of a brace, or what is a brace? And it's something that we use to limit degrees of freedom, right, or unwanted degrees of freedom, right, to kind of narrow our choices down when performing a certain task, right, and that can be valuable, absolutely, at times. I think about in the powerlifting world or absolute strength lifts, there are times where we want to limit degrees of unwanted freedom, right, and so by bracing, by being stiff, again, we could potentially dial into our desired task. Now, the problem with that is that does not transfer to anything else. It only transfers to a maximal lift. And so I don't think that's necessarily beneficial to really teach to general populations, right? And people who are not very focused on a specific style of lifting. And when we talk about, health and also performance, I do think this idea of proximal organization may be more transferable compared to bracing, where we traditionally think about this lockdown mechanism, Valsalva, big breath in, and generally this extended position. So proximal organization or positioning is going to be a little bit different. And again, this idea that aligning the rib cage over the pelvis and the pelvis under the rib cage is going to set ourselves up for potential. Right, and so we see position here, right? The first thing is position. Do I understand how to get myself in a more neutral position, where my rib cage is down, back, and in, my hips are under my body, where traditionally as athletes, we do live in this extension pattern. Again, not necessarily a bad thing, but getting back into a more neutral position may be more beneficial when we start talking about pressure management and then having movement options. So again, bracing, we're thinking about limiting degrees of freedom. Positioning, we're thinking about setting ourselves up to optimize our degrees of freedom, especially in the extremities, in the shoulder, elbow, wrist, and also in the hip, knee, ankle, for dynamic movement and controlled environment movements like our powerlifting, Olympic lifts, etc. So again, why is position important? It's because now we're aligning our thoracic diaphragm and our pelvic diaphragm, which act as a piston, right, to control and pressurize. Just like a soda can, right? That canister is able to create pressure when filled with some kind of volume, whether it be liquid, in the human body case, air, right? So again, position dictates the amount of pressure that we're able to manage, and that amount of pressure that we're able to manage is going to help dictate performance in whatever activity that we need to do, whether it be an absolute strength or whether it be a more reactive or bouncy movement like a plyometric or running or sport itself. So again, position sets us up for pressure, right? Pressure allows us to have possibilities, right? Those possibilities are going to be strength, right? Movement options from a range of motion standpoint, or power activities to align our proximal segments in the optimal position for performance and for dynamic activity. Again, when we talk about transferability, bracing, locking things down, right? Big breath, hold, stay in that position. I'm not sure that transfers to life, right? Or transfers to sport, like understanding proximal positioning, right? Like understanding how to align ourselves in the sagittal plane, right? Or in flexion and extension, right? Understanding how to align our rib cage and pelvis. Now that concept, then being able to manage pressure, probably has a little bit more transfer when we're talking about health, life, and sport, okay? Proximal position over bracing.